does it mean, Karthik, this 50% tariff? Are we looking at 50% tariff, and how does it affect us in context of our export? What are the margins we are looking at, and how does it impact our overall growth? Karthik.
No, it's definitely bad news, Karthikeya. There's no doubt about that. It's 25% plus 25%. That makes it 50%. But there's, on the brighter side, it's not 100%. At one point, Donald Trump was talking about imposing 100% penalty on countries importing Russian oil. It's not 100%. He's also gone on to say that tariffs on Russian oil imports and sanctions on Russian oil imports could run as high as 500%. So honestly, this 25% plus 25%, 50% is a problem, is an issue. But how much of this will actually get implemented? How much of this will get negotiated? Is this going to come into effect on 7th August or not US time? Is there going to be another extension to these tariffs? These are unanswered questions right now. And unfortunately, they continue to be unanswered questions when you're looking at a situation as uncertain, as volatile, as we often see with Donald Trump.
We are in the same boat as Brazil. That's because the Bolsonaro tax, 50%. Which is the most vulnerable sector right now, Karthik?
So I think in terms of vulnerability, there are multiple sectors. See, which are the sectors which actually have a dent when it comes to exports to the US? We are definitely talking about the pharmaceutical sector. And this pharmaceutical sector, if I understand correctly, is outside of this ambit of 50% tariff, simply because there is another announcement that came from Donald Trump yesterday that the pharma sector is going to face tariffs successively as high as 250%. Then, of course, there is the copper sector and the aluminium and the steel sector. Now, the copper sector, again, has already been slammed with tariffs of 50%. So honestly, no change there. Then there is the steel and the aluminium sector, which already have a 25% baseline tariff. So is this 50% going to be applicable on the steel and aluminium sector in addition to what the 25% base tariff is? We don't know, because with Trump, every time there are these little, issues which remain unanswered. Then, of course, you have the diamond sector, you have the auto sector, you have tires, you have textiles. The labor-intensive sectors are the ones that India really wanted to promote with the bilateral trade deal with the US, which now seems even more distant than it has ever seemed in the past, even though we are exactly 19 days away from the US delegation likely to visit India on August 25th. So labor-intensive sectors like leather, like textiles, like some auto components, these are sectors which are likely to now become more uncompetitive when it comes to their exports to the US. But if you keep those sectors aside, because the contribution of those sectors also as a proportion of GDP and India's GDP is not that high. The pharma sector is give or take about $10 billion worth of exports to the US. Now, if you keep that sector aside, all other sectors are pretty much in a much lower territory. So I'm saying the dent, if you were to ask me to make a guesstimate, which is something that I could do at the moment, I believe the impact is unlikely to be more than perhaps give or take about $20-25 billion on the outside, because India's overall trade with the US is about $130 billion.
Okay.
India
that's the business part, Karthik.
Karthik,
that's the business part. I'm not saying that's a small part, but that's a big part. Krishna, my question to you is on the strategic affairs. We understand that the business part is very, very important. It's about jobs, it's about currency, it's about our financial health. But we have had a strategic relationship with the United States of America. There's a tech relationship with the United States of America. After Narasimha Rao, there was a bipartisan consensus between BJP in Congress to continuously improve relationship with the United States of America. Do you think that India's relationship with the United States of America can become a political football, Krishna?
It has already become, Karthikeya, already. You look at the response that India's Minister of External Affairs has given to these continued tariff threats from Trump. India is putting up a very solid defense and telling the entire world that it was the US that encouraged India to buy oil from Russia when the war began. So it has already become a matter of political contention. The fear here at this stage is that all the good work that has been done in the recent past to take the India-US relations to the next level. Let's face it, the US is India's biggest trading partner at the end of the day. It is the most important strategic relationship for India, for the welfare of its economy and for India's own heft at the global table. So that relationship, which has gone from strength to strength in the recent past, now faces a major crisis because of something like this, because of this particular tariff issue. I mean, 25% At that point in time, everybody said India needs to take it on the chin and grin and bear with it until a final trade deal is struck between India and the US. 25% take it on the chin. 50%, where will India take it? I will be really interested to know what will be India's response to this. Indian Minister of External Affairs is yet to come out with a statement, but it will be very important because India, on one hand, cannot afford these tariffs, cannot afford to take it lying down. On the other hand, it also has the responsibility to ensure that all the good work that has been done in terms of Indo-US relations do not get decimated on this one particular issue. In the larger context of things, it might be one issue, but it's a crucial issue considering the way the global economy is and the stakes are so high, both for the US and for India. So economics has now the potential to threaten the quality of politics and diplomacy that's gone on.
Krishna, you stay with me. My colleague Aditya Raj joined me from Israel. Aditya, there's another aspect, where I want you. Prime Minister Modi had invested heavily in Donald Trump. 2019 Motera rally, Prime Minister had ensured that when he came back, he was there in White House. That investment was made. Trump has not respected that. What is going to be our response?
That's right, Karthikeya. We've had, one harmony between Trump and Modi that has been spoken about in detail. In fact, they've shared stage in India as well as in the United States. Of course, the entire relationship, the bandwidth of the relationship has gone from strength to strength, not just in the areas of economy, trade, but, many of the Indian students studying there. Apart from that, business linkages that we have. So it's a huge challenge for the diplomacy and I would say the economic diplomacy of India and United States at this stage. Trump certainly not looking the other way and in fact slapping 25% additional